श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। या विद्या शिवकेशवादिजननी या वै जगन्मोहिनी या ब्रह्मादिपिपीलिकां जगदानन्दैकसन्धायिनी या पञ्चप्रणवधिनी या चित्कलामालिनी सा मां भात भगवती श्रीराजराजेश्वरी। खड्गं चक्रगदेषु बालिकाञ्चूलं भुषण्डीश्वरः शङ्खं सन्ददतीं क्रेदनीनां सर्वाङ्गभूषामृतां नीलाश्मद्दिवाद्यपादशिखां सेवे महाकालकां यामास्तौस्तुभिदे हरोगमरहन्तं मधुं कैटभम् चण्डिकायै। Namaste. Namaste everyone. So today is the first day of this Navaratri, auspicious Navaratri period, and we start this Upanyasa Malika on Navarātrī Vrata Māhātmyam. So the excellency, greatness, glory of Devi, Maha Maya, Sri Rajarajeshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, and that glory of Sri Chandika Parameshwari, as narrated in the Puranas. That's what we're starting today. And this sessions, this Upanyasas has been organized under the umbrella of Brahmana Mahasabha of London and Sri Vidya Shankara Vedic Pathshala, London. Brahmana Mahasabha is a community formed together for all the Brahmanas in and around London with great ambitions. And Pathshala is something that started about 5 years ago with some classes to children during summer holidays, and then since it's been continued with regular weekly sessions for all the age groups with various topics, and also ad hoc dedicated session one-to-one classes and so on. Currently there are a couple of regular sessions that's been conducted, stories from Mahabharata, which is going through taking all the stories from Mahabharata, completed over 700 sessions so far currently in Drona Parva. And then there is Gita Shastra as well, so which is again going deep into deep meaning or trying to understand the deep meaning of Bhagavad Gita. That's again, if one has to understand deep meaning of any Shastras, one has to seek blessings of Sri Shankaracharya, and that's what being done here as part of Gita Shastra. We're looking at using Sri Shankara Bhagavad-pada's Gita Bhashya as a basis, and then going through each shloka by shloka, word by word, trying to understand the meaning, what it is saying. So again, all these sessions are currently in progress and all delivered in English during UK hours, so mainly for targeting the UK people. And for those who don't know, my name is Sudhi Hebbar, based near in Sutton, Surrey, and I'm conducting some of these sessions as well. So before we start the Upanyasa, just a couple of administration things, because this is the first session. First of all, in terms of how to listen to these Upanyasa, obviously online links already shared and you're joined, and that's how we listen. But what should the listeners do, and what there are rules on guidelines on what the presenters also have to do. So in terms of the listeners, like any Shastra related listening, whether it is be it Vedic Veda, study of Vedas, Vedanta, Itihasa, Purana, Smritis, whatever it is, all Shastras, listening, learning, all this, the listener must pay full attention with faith and devotion without any cavil. So again, Shraddha Bhakti is important. The reason Shraddha Bhakti, again, the reason I said without any quibble, any cavil, is because people say that is not scientific, you can't prove all those things and things like that. But here, when we start Shastra study, first thing is Shraddha. believe in those things, what's being said is important, and then one will start to experience those things. So without belief, things will not come. In science, it is opposite. First you prove and then you believe. Here in Shastra studies, it is opposite. First you believe and then experience those things. Whatever that's being said, one start to experience those things. So that's why that devotion, faith is important. The second one is while learning, while listening to these things, one should be pure. So by that, body purity is important, and also really ritual purity is also important. For example, during Ashocha periods, Sotagas of birth, death, and so on, one should not listen. There are some exceptions, but I'm going with the broad things. And also during Rajaswala, for example, women in monthly cycles should not participate in these things, or having consumed unclean food and things like that, non-veg, alcohol and things like that. One must not take part in these things. Again, it is my duty to inform these things. So that's what I'm doing. And then one should be seated properly after, obviously, washing hand, feet, face, and things like that. So purification, seated properly, one should listen these things. While listening, again, consumption of food, talking to others, or arguing on what's being said. Arguing, I already said, the faith is important. So arguing on what's being said, and those things should be avoided. And there are many such guidelines on Purana, Vedas, Vedantas, listening, learning, and things like that, but that's not the focus here. So these things, what I said, should be sufficient to start with, and most of you, I'm assuming, already aware of these things. So with that, we will continue. The second thing I just want to mention in terms of the administration part is, again, I said, must not argue, but it's okay to have questions. So if you have any questions, there is a link shared. Please submit in those via that. So we will try to answer throughout these sessions. I'm hoping any questions that's coming will be answered in the upcoming days. If not, we'll pick those things and answer those questions. So with that, we'll move to the next part of this Upanyasa Malika, where we'll look at the introduction. So first of all, the topic is Navarātrī Vrata Māhātmyam and Devi Mahatmya. So mainly we're going to refer to two Puranas here in terms of in these sessions. The first one is Devi Bhagavata Purana, and the second one is Markandeya Purana. Devi Bhagavata Purana is one of the Mahapuranas containing about 18,000 shlokas in it across 12 skandhas, and in its entirety it explains about Devi Mahatmya. So there are various chapters, adhyayas explaining Devi's Mahatmya. And the second one we are looking at is Markandeya Purana, where Rishi Markandeya narrated this. There are 13 adhyayas, 13 chapters narrated by Rishi Markandeya, and that's covered over 700, that's covered in 700 shlokas, and that's why those 700 shlokas also known as Saptashati, Durga Saptashati, Chandika Saptashati. These are different names that's being called, and these 700 shlokas, there are 13 chapters, and those 13 chapters, adhyayas, are divided into 3 charitras, histories, let's call it. So Prathama Charitra, Madhyama Charitra, and Uttama Charitra. In the Prathama Charitra, we have Madhukaitaba, slaying of Madhukaitaba, Danavas Madhukaitabas, so Madhukaitaba Vada, and that chapter is Devata, for that is Mahakali. So it is Mahakali as Devata, Madhukaitaba Vada is the one adhyaya in the Prathama Charitra. In the Madhyama Charitra, we have 3 chapters covering Mahishasura Vada, and Mahalakshmi is the Devata for that. And then the last one, Uttama, is called Uttama Charitra, and there are remaining chapters cover that, including Palashruti, and that covers Shumba Nishumba Vada with his army and others, and also includes Devi's blessing, Palashruti, and so on. And Mahasaraswati is the Devata. So In this Upanasa series, I'll be mainly focusing on these two, Devi Bhagavata Purana and the 13 chapters of Sri Markandeya Purana. In this, Devi's excellency, glory has been mentioned in various other Puranas as well. Any Purana you take, there is always mention of Devi's greatness, and also Tantra Shastras and other Shastras covers heavily, but these two should be sufficient in the time we have. So with that, Devi Mahatmya. So Devi Mahatmya is famous in Shakta Sampradaya. So in Shakta Sampradaya, it is very famous. Each of these Saptashati shlokas, 700 shlokas, they are considered as mantra itself, each 700 mantras. And you probably have seen, for example, in Chandi Parayana, Chandika Homa and things like that, each of these shlokas is chanted as mantras, and ahutis or oblations are offered, and even rahasyas, Chandi rahasyas, for example, say Pradishlokam cha juhuya payasam tila sarpita. So every shloka you offer payasa with tila, with til, offer that as an oblation to Chandi. So Devi, who is described in the Vedas, for example, Devi Sukta, for example, we say Aham Rudre Birvasabhishcharamyaham Vishwadevai Aham Mitra Varunobha Aham Vivarmendra Ashvinobha Aham Sobhamahanatam Vivarmyaham Tvashtaramadaposhanam Bhagam Aham Dadami Dravidam Havishmade Supravye Yajamanaya Sunvade, and so on. So Devi herself in Vedas, Rigveda, for example, here mentions herself as Rudra, Vasu, Aditya, Marutas, Vishwadevas, Mitra, Varuna, Agni, Indra, Agni, Ashwini Devatas. And she says, I am Soma, Tvastara, Pusha, Bhaga, and so on. She says, I am everything. And also says, Ahameva Swayamidam Vadame Jushtam Devi Vrata Māhātmyam Yam Kamaye Tantam Ugram Krunobit Tam Brahmanam Tam Vrishim Sam Vedam. Again, this is Paramatma, this Paramatma Vastu, this Paramatma is I only. Ahameva Swayamidam Vadami. So, and that Brahma is worshipped by the Devatas and men and everybody. That Parabrahma is none other than me. That's what Devi says in the Vedas as well. So, Devi, who is Satchidananda Swarupa, is euloged, she is worshipped in this Saptashati and in this Devi Bhagavata Purana. And here Devi is described as Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, and so on. And this Saptashati is normally chanted, recited along with Kavacha, Argala, Kielaga, and Rasatrayas and Rishyadinyasas and Ekadashinyasa and so on. It's been recited with the stotras also recited as part of Saptashati Parayana, Chandika Parayana, and so on. So that's the background to Saptashati or Devi Mahatmya itself. Now, I mentioned here Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, and so on. And doubt might come in some minds saying that why are we worshipping, if it is one Devi, why we are worshipping in multiple names, why we are worshipping as Kali, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Parvati, Gauri, Sita, Radha, Tulsi, Gayatri, Chamunda, Mahishasuramardini, many others. That's just Devi's form. And then if you look at male forms, we have Ganesha, Rudra, Surya, Skanda, and many, many, many more. Right? Why are we worshipping in multiple forms? The answer is, whichever the form we worship only one Paramatma, only one Paramatma Tattva. We see that Brahman, that Tattva in multiple forms. Whether it is Ganapatya, Vaishnava, Shaiva, Shaktya, Saura Sampradaya, whichever Sampradaya we go, we all worship same Chaitanya. Ekam Sat Vipraha Sabhuda Vadanti. The truth is only one, and it appears as many. And we worship, see that as many forms. So the only one Karanavastu, only one Mula, only one substrat of everything. And everything else we see that as the same one in different form. And the names are different, We call it in different forms because of, we call it different names because of different forms. Why there are different forms? Because the worshipper can imagine in that form that he or she likes and he attaches himself to. Hence, we worship anything and everything in, for example, in our Sanatana Dharma, we worship forest, mountain, rivers, trees, animals, humans, devatas, pitrus, dead, living, everything we worship, right? Moving, immovable, everything we worship. Because we see in any form, we can see devatas. And the other reason of many form is the Mula Karana, that Paramatma Vastu, is not male, it is not female, or it is not even Napumsaka. And there is no form. There is no guna, there is no quality, there is no kriya, there is no actions. And that's what is said in the Vedantas, in the Vedantas, it is said as Nirguna, Nirakara, Niravayava, Nishkriya. Only Shuddha Chaitanya, pure Chaitanya. And that is impossible to describe. That Chaitanya is impossible to describe. And that's why the Upanishads keep saying, no, neti, neti, not this, not this. So it is negatively saying that that is not Paramatma Vastu, that is not. Whatever you say, that is not. Then finally you will end up with knowing what it is. Again, Shankara Bhagavad Viveka Chudamani, for example, he goes through explaining the shlokas one after another, saying that is not, and then he explains what that Brahma Vastu. Whatever that's left, you think now, that's what it is. So that's how the Chaitanya is described. It is omnipresent, it is all-pervading, universal. That Chaitanya is mass of energy, Shakti. And there is no place where Shakti does not exist. And that Shakti is always perceived as dependent on something. It looks like it is dependent on something, though it is very independent. For example, in Agni, in fire, we see Shakti of burning. In sun, we see Shakti of light and heat. In water, we see Shakti of flow. And in wind, we see Shakti of movement. We cannot separate them. We cannot separate burning Shakti of Agni. The worship of that Shakti, separating from its dependent object, is pure Shakti's worship, Nirguna Shakti's worship. That is what is mentioned in the Shakti of Upasana. The Upasana of that Ashraya, fire for example, Agni, is Saguna form. Upasana without the Ashraya is Nirguna form, Shuddha Shakti Upasana. And the Shakti that is in all and is the root of all, that Shakti is known as Parashakti. And in the Vedanta, same is called as Brahman. So we know Brahman, we call Brahman. It is not the Chaturmukha Brahma, the four-faced Brahma, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, it is Brahman. So that Brahman is same as Parashakti. And the Jnanis see this Brahman everywhere and everything. That's why they see in forest or in movable or immovable, they see everything. However, for Mandadikaris or even Madhyamadikaris, that is like us, dull, who has not achieved that stage, who are still in samsara, struggling, and we are still in this Maya. For us, there needs to be something to experience with our sense organs. We can see, we can feel, we can touch. Otherwise, it is not possible for us to realize, even come close to that Brahman. And that's why there is an option in the Shastras, Savishesha Rupanam. So for those who cannot reach that Nirvishesha Rupa, so for those who cannot reach that Nirakara Rupa, imagine that Nirakara Rupa of Brahman, they can use Savishesha. So they can use a Rupam, a form. And by imagining the form, we comprehend, we experience with our senses, and then we worship that form. And Upanishad also says, Chinmayasya, Advitiyasya, Asharirinaha. And in this, the Brahman says, Upasakanam Karyartam Brahmano Rupakalpanat. For the Upasakas, the form is assumed for that Brahman. whatever the worship is offered, whether it is Saguna form or Nirguna form, it all reaches that Brahman. And since Saguna depends on that Nirguna Brahman, the Saguna form depends on that Nirguna. That's why it all reaches that. And same thing, Bhagavad Shankaracharya says Parameshwara form can be assumed for the worship. So he also says that Yata Toya Pravahanam Samudra Paramavadi Tataiva Sarva Marganam Sakshan Nishta Maheshwara. So just like all the waters join Samudra, ocean, just like that, if you worship any form with that Brahman, ultimately in the mind, that Paramatma in the mind, it all reaches that Maheshwara. Just like all streams ultimately end themselves in the ocean, just like that, you will reach that Brahman, that Atman. So if we give the male form, we call that Ganesha, Shiva, Indra, Skanda, and so on. If we give Napumsaka form, then we call it Brahman, Atman, Satyam, Chaitanya, Jnana, and so on. We call that Brahman. If we give the female form, we call that Brahman, same Brahman, we call as Srimata, Lalita, Bhagavati, Rajarajeshwari, Jagadambika, Chandrika, Kali, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Gayatri, Parvati, and so on. The Tattva does not have a form, but the form we use, male, female, or others, hence the name changes. Just like, for example, we have bangles, necklaces, earrings, various other things, all are gold. Everything is gold, but the form, because of its form, we call it different names. Right? Just like that Brahman is one, and we call, because of the form we see with a trunk, elephant face, we call it Ganesha. With a round shape, it's Linga, Shiva Linga. Shiva, we call it, right? So like that we call. And so this tattva can appear in many forms of Vishnu with Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, wearing yellow garment. For example, Shiva Purana says a similar thing. Vishnu can appear in many forms as Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. That Paramatma Tattva can appear like that, wearing yellow garment. And it can appear reciting Vedas with 4 faces as Prajapati Brahma seated on Hamsa, or with matted locks, wearing elephant hide, elephant skin, smearing bhasma all over, holding Trishula, riding bull as Shankara. But tatas tejas surupancha nirakaram niranjanam. That tejas, that Chaitanya is nirakara, niranjana. Nirupadim nirihascha mahatbhuta tamarupakam. So that is, there is no upadhi for that. And so that is that Paramatma Tattva. And again, if you worship that Paramatma Tattva in female form, she appears as Saraswati, Lakshmi, Parvati, and so on. And in, for example, in Saundarya Lahari, Bhagavan, Sri Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Sri Shankaracharya Bhagavad says the same thing. Girama Hurdevi Gruhini Gruhinim Agamavido Hare Patni Padmam Harasachari Adritanayam Turiya Kapitvam Durida Gama Nissima Mahima Maha Maya Vishwam Brahmayasi Brahma Mahishi. So Shankaracharya says, O Queen Consort of Parabrahman, the knower of Agamas Kalya, the goddess of speech, Girama Hurdevi. So you are consort of wife of Druhina, Brahma. So you are Brahma's wife. They call as Brahma's wife. As Padma, the wife of Hare Patnim Padma. And Adritanaya, some call you as Hara's wife, Shiva's wife. So, but you are the indescribable 4th one, Turiya Kapi. You are only attainable in that Turiya form. So we have 3 forms, right? So normally awakened form, Swapna, and then deep sleep. But this is the Turiya form where one is attains that state. So that pure Jnana Swarupa, Satchidananda state, that state, one attains that. So same Bhagavati is discipline. And one thing to note here is the Upasana has to be aligned with Shastras. Again, I said we can worship in any forms, but for Mandadhikaris and Madhyamadhikaris, we have to follow the Shastras. We can't just, today we see, for example, Bhagavan's new devatas forming every day. Every year there is going to be new temple, new devata coming through, right? So that's not aligning with the Shastras. We can worship in any form as long as the worship aligns with the Shastras. And again, in Gita Bhashya, for example, Acharya says that the Bhakti, people say we got Bhakti, but Bhakti has to align with the Shastras. If it's not aligning with the Shastras, if it is against the Shastras, that is not Bhakti. That is Dambachara. So he says that that's what Shankaracharya says. That's why it has to be aligning with Vaidika practices, Vaidika Shastras. Now we look at why we worship in Devi form. Why we worship her in this Paramatma Tattva and Devi form? Because when worshipped as a mother, we are more attached. We are more attached to that. And the attachment with mother starts even before one is born, even before one opens the eyes to this world. And he is the one most dear to her, most near to her. Loke hi dukkha dashayam mata smaranam prasiddham. So this is the words of Sri Bhaskaracharya, who wrote Bhashya on Lalita Sahasrama. He says why we worship as mother. He says that when there is trouble, when there is dukkha dashayam, mata sparanam prasiddham. So when we have any little problems, we think about our mother. She is the one who is going to help. And if a father scores a child, the child goes to mother. If mother scores a child, it still goes to mother crying. That's all. Right? It's still mother. So, and Upanishad also says something. Pandityam nirvidya balyena tishtase. So we all go to as balya. So when we want to learn and when we want to gain that jnana and when we want to achieve that, reach that Devi's grace, we have to go as children. And that's why we're there. And then Devi as Brahman as well. So such a mother's Mahatmyam, Upasana through this Navarātrī Vrata, Navarātrī time is, and Navarātrī Vrata is what we are going to look in this next 11 days. And the reason I explained this slightly off topic, why we worship in Devi form as oneness, one Brahma Tattva, is because Devi is worshipped here as Brahman. And that does means when we worship that Brahman in the Devi form, we will, through this Upanyasa, you will hear that Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and other devatas and everything are worshipping that Devi. Okay. Now that doesn't mean so, and in places it says Devi is superior and so on. That doesn't mean, okay, we are saying that Vishnu is not superior. Okay, it is not Ninda of Vishnu. It is not Ninda of Shiva or Brahman. Okay, but even Devi Bhagavata Purana itself says if anyone differentiates between Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and the Brahman, they rot in hell for as long as the Brahman lives. Okay, Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma lives. One. So the reason here is this is Devi's focused Upasana. We see Devi as the Brahman. Okay, everything else is worshipping Devi. And if we look at Shiva Purana or any Shiva's related agamas, anything like that, Shiva is Brahman. If you look at Vishnu related, then Vishnu is supreme. And similarly, Brahma and so on. Agni is as worshipped as Brahman. Indra or Ganesha or all the worshipped as Brahman. So it's again whom we see as Brahman is important. And here, the Vrata, here what we are looking is Devi So when we come across saying that Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, and all the other devatas worshipped Devi, okay, we see Devi here as that Brahman. So we are worshipping that Paramatma, that Chaitanya. Okay, that's what we are worshipping. So in the form of Devi, we see her as in the form of a mother here. That's why it is important. Now, just quickly, just look at what's on the agenda, what we try to cover over the next few days in this Upanyasa Malika. So we'll start with who is Devi, the question that's going to come, and then Maha Maya, explaining Maha Maya, and then Mother Gate Vada, and then we'll look at Mani Dvipa, Devi's Vibhutis, Amba Yajna, Navarātrī Vrata, Kanya Puja or Kumari Puja, merits of Navarātrī Vrata, and the stories related to that Vrata, and then Mahishasura's birth and his sinus, slaying of his sign, and then Mahishasura's killing of Mahishasura, and then Indra and others worshipping Devi. And then we look into Uttama Charitra of Devi Mahatma, where we look at Devi and Shumba Nishumbat messengers discussions, and then Dhumra Lochana, Chandamunda, Raktabija, Shumba Nishumba's Vada, slaying of those Daityas, and then Narayani Stuti of Narayani, and then Bhagavati Vakya, which is Devi's message and Devi's sayings, and then the Palashruti, the merits of this, listening to this Devi Mahatmya and Navarātrī Vrata performance of Navarātrī Vrata. So that's the high level broad agenda for the next 11 days. The reason I say 11 days is Navaratri this year is 10 days plus Vijayadashmi. So we'll try to cover those in this next 11 days. Again, agenda is a very high level outline on what we'd like to cover. It may happen that on the fifth day, what I said today may not cover the fifth day if you have to catch up from the fourth day and things like that. Or some days we may go a little bit faster. If we go faster, we'll try to cover a little bit more stories from the Devi Mahatmya. If not, we'll stick to this. But then again, whatever listed here is not the complete Mahatmya of Bhagavati. And that's again, nobody can narrate those kind of things. So even, for example, it says that in the Puranas, it says that even Vedas mention you with trembling fright by negating what you are not. What will be the matter regards to the other? So and even in Devi Bhagavata Purana, for example, Brahma himself says that even Vishnu and I combined are unable to explain that Devi, who she is and her greatness, Mahatma, we cannot explain. It is so difficult to explain. So when it is like that, if I say today, make a promise that I'm going to narrate you all the Devi Mahatma completely in 10 days, it's a false statement. So we'll cover whatever she wishes me to narrate in these 10 days, 11 days. We'll try to do that. And after all, she is the Vagdevi, she is the goddess of speech, she is the one who makes us speak. So we'll do that. And with that, we will start looking at the two instances. I said Markandeya Purana and Devi Bhagavata Purana, where we're going to cover. And both Markandeya Purana and Devi Bhagavata Purana both start in some sort of asking questions on who is that Devi, and then Devi's Mahatma is explained, and then the Palashruti, what is the merits of that. So we will start off those two places where the initial questions come in, the scene, the background to that, who is asking those questions, what is the reasons, and then the Devi Mahatma itself is similar, even though some of the shlokas slightly differ, but broadly more or less Markandeya Purana's 13 adhyayas and what's said in the Devi Mahatma, which is slightly longer, Devi Bhagavata, which is slightly explained in detail. We'll cover those as the middle section, and then we'll come to what happened to those initial questions that came through and who asked those questions and what merits they got from listening to Devi Mahatmya. So with that, first we will look at Devi Bhagavata. We will look at that and we will see the questions that's coming. Who is this Devi? So the in Devi Bhagavata, the discussion starts after Janamejaya. Janamejaya, as you may have heard, is Abhimanyu's son Parikshita, Parikshita's son Janamejaya. Okay, Janamejaya completes or he conducts a Sarpasatra, snake sacrifice. Okay, sacrificing all the snakes, and that was stopped by Astika. Vasuki's nephew comes there and he stops him. And after stopping that snake sacrifice by Astika, in that all the rishis and everybody was assembled. At that time, Vyasa says to Janamejaya that let all auspiciousness come to you. You have heard this whole Mahabharata. And after that snake sacrifice was stopped, Vaishampayana, at the instructions of Vyasa, he narrates Mahabharata in that place. Okay, that is the first place where Mahabharata was narrated. Entire Mahabharata, Vyasa Mahabharata was narrated. So at Janamaya's after snake sacrifice, where all the rishis were there, Vaishampayana narrates that. So after Mahabharata was narrated, so here Vyasa says that let all auspiciousness come to you. You have heard the whole Mahabharata and gave away a lot of dana in this sacrifice. You have also worshipped a lot of munis here. But though you have done all these many good things, your father, Parikshita, has not attained heaven. He has not attained heaven. You have not been able to sanctify your family. So you're not able to do those things. So that's why, O Janamejaya, you install a spacious temple for Devi Bhagavati with highest devotion. Then all your desires will be fulfilled. And all the auspicious Devi, the giver of all the desires, makes the kingdom more stable and increases the family. And if she always be worshipped with highest devotion, she will do all those things. So that's why, O Janamejaya, you better perform this Devi Makha, Yajna Yatistoma. So you perform this Devi Makha, this Yajna of Devi, and others, you perform all those Devi-related activities, worships, by pleasing Devi and hearing the great Srimad Devi Bhagavata Purana, with which is filled with all the Devi's glorious deeds of that Devi. And with that, you will be able to do that. And there is no other subject in this world worthy of hearing other than this Purana, and there is no other thing to be worshipped than the lotus feet of Devi. So that's why there is those, and Vyasa also says that those people are very fortunate, those are intelligent, those are blessed, and those whose hearts of love and devotion reign always on Devi Bhagavati. So such a people are blessed, and those are fortunate who always worship this Devi Bhagavati. And then also, he also says that who is there that will not worship her when Brahma and all the other devatas always engaged in her devotion, in her service. And in the former days, Devi Bhagavati herself spoke this excellent Purana, excellent narration to Vishnu himself, and from Vishnu we have heard it. That's what Brahma says. So, and like this has come through. So this will everybody who listens to this Purana, all your ancestors will attain endless heavenly bliss, heavenly life. They will attain. That's why, O Janamejaya, perform this Devi Makha, this Amba Yajna, this Devi Yajna. You perform this. So that's what Vyasa Maharshi says to Janamejaya. Now Janamejaya, listening to this, he inquires, saying that, what is this great sacrifice Yajna you mentioned called Amba Yajna, about which you referred just now? What is this? Who is this Amba? Where she was born? From whom and what did her birth take place? and what are her qualities, what is her form and nature, and so on. So he asks these questions, and Janamejaya also says that I heard that Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra are the three devatas who are successfully originated to create, preserve, destroy the universe. And all these three are, my question is, are these three are independent, or do their respective duties, creation, preservation, and destruction, destroy in the universe, do they do at the command of another person? Are these Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, are they subject to death like ordinary beings? Are the nature of this everlasting existence, intelligence, happiness, all those things, bliss, all these things are everlasting. And like this, he asks many questions. Janamaji asks many questions. If these bodies are not made of these five elements, if then what it is built of? What is that one thing that carries us forward? Where do they, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, and best of devatas, they live? What is the nature of the powers and prosperities and things like that? So he asks many questions like that. What is the mula? What is the root, source of karana of all this creation and everything? So he asks all those things along with asking details about the yajna that Vyasa has just mentioned. And Vyasa says that in the ancient days, in the olden days, I asked the same question to Narada. So here, Janamaja asking question to Vyasa, and Vyasa in response he says that I asked the similar questions to Narada. And Vyasa says that I asked Narada, who is the supreme architect of this entire universe? When did this Brahmanda created? Is it eternal or is it permanent? Temporary? Is it eternal or is it temporary? What is an effect? What is the natural that cannot be created without any cause? So obviously there is something that's created and there is a creator, right? So what is the cause? What is the effect here? So what is real? What is true? And what is the truth? What is with regard to this whole samsara? Samsara here again is not samsara in general terms, which we use like family. Samsara means entire universe here. Okay, the life, the birth, death, and everything that. So in this wide samsara, I have my doubts. What is real? What is true? So many believe that Mahadeva, Shankara, is the supreme God and he is the cause of all. He is the source of deliverance to all the jivas. He is devoid of birth and death. He is always auspicious, peaceful himself, and controller of all the sattva, rajas, tamas, three gunas. He is also the controller. He is the one and only cause of creation, preservation, and destruction. Many believe that. So, and some Pandits believe that Vishnu is the God of all and praise him like that. And Vishnu is the most powerful. He is the Paramatma. He is the Lord of everything. He is the Adipurusha. And there is no birth or death or deliverance and he is the one who delivers all the jivas. He is the omnipresent. He is the faces everywhere, and he is the one grantor of all the enjoyments and moksha to all the devotees. And some others believe Brahma is the cause of everything. He is the omniscient. He is the stimulator of all the beings. He is the four-faced Brahma. He is the best of among the devatas or born from him. And he is the one that's endless force. He resides in Satyaloka. He is the creator of all. And again, some Pandits believe, some wise men believe that Surya is the Bhagavan. And that's why we worship Surya every morning through Gayatri and so on. So in the morning and evening, they chant hymns, mantras, and without any laziness, people do that. And again, some others believe Indra is the lord of all the jivas, and that thousand-eyed Indra is the god of all. So, and the people perform sacrifices and yajnas, sacrifices, worship Indra, the Lord of Devatas. They worship him, and he is the one who drinks so much juice, he drinks after the yajnas are performed, and he is the one and only Lord of all the yajnas. So some worship him like that. And there are other men who worship Varuna, Soma, Agni, Pavana, Vayu, Yama, Kubera, and many others like this. And some worship elephant-faced Ganapati as the one who gives the benefits, fruits of all the actions, and he is the grantor of all the desires and devotees, and giver of success, and so on. And some acharyas say that all auspicious Adi Maya, great Shakti, Bhavani, the giver of everything, the one who is the nature, who is the Prakriti of with and without attributes. She is the one who is, and who is that Adimaya is not different from Brahma, Parabrahman, and who is both, she is both Purusha and Prakriti. She is the creator, she is the preserver, she is the destroyer of all, the mother of all the devatas, all the beings, all the lokas. She is the goddess, great goddess, Mahadevi of this Brahmanda. She is without beginning and end, full. She is the full, she is the present, she is in all the beings and everywhere. And it is that Bhavani that assumes various endless forms such as Vaishnavi, Shankari, Brahmi, Vasavi, Varuni, Varahi, Narasimhi, Mahalakshmi, and the one and secondless Vedamata, Gayatri, and many others. And she is the Vidya. So she is the one and only root of this tree of the samsara. So like this people worship. So people worship in various forms. The simple act of remembering that Maha Maya destroys all the afflictions of the devotees and fulfills all their desires. She is the one who gives the mokshas to those who desire moksha and gives the reward to those who want reward, other rewards. She is beyond three gunas. That's why she is also form of all three gunas. That's why she is going to call us Nirgunya, Nirguna as well as Trigunya. So she is like that. And that's why yogis who want rewards meditate her, who is the nature of this Vidya, who is devoid of all the attributes. The best of the munis, rishis, know her as formless, immutable, stainless, omnipresent Brahma. They know her as the Brahman, Parabrahman, who is devoid of all the dharmas and adharmas. She is described in some Vedas, Upanishads as the Tejas. She is like that. And some intelligent persons describe Bhagavan having multiple hands, ears, legs, faces, and things like that, Virata Purusha, and so on. Some says that Bhagavan is not there anywhere. Atheists. They say that there is nothing like that. So Vyasa says all these things to Narada, and he says that all these doubts have come and confused. So remember here, Vyasa himself is a jnani, and he is asking all this to Narada, and he says that my mind is very much unsettled on what is dharma, what is adharma, what are the characteristics of dharma. So explain me all these things, and he asks Narada about this. And when Vyasa asks all these questions like this, Narada says that I asked the similar questions previously to Brahma. My father Brahma, I asked all these questions, and Brahma told me all these things. So that's where we go. Next, in the Devi Bhagavata Purana, so we started with Janamejaya asking Vyasa, who is this Devi? When Vyasa instructs him to do Amba Yajna, he asks, who is that Amba? Who is that Ambika? And then Vyasa says that I asked the similar question to Narada, and Narada says that I asked the same thing. Who is the creator? Who is the destroyer? Who is the preserver of everything? Who is that one Brahman? To my father, Chaturmukha Brahma, I asked that. So that's the background scene setting in Devi Bhagavata Purana. Okay. Now we look at the other part, Markandeya Purana. The reason again I'm going two channels here is because both will come to the same thing, explaining that Devi. Okay, and from there we will go in one track. But if you know where this has come through, then you will know if I say Vyasa said this, or Janamejaya said this, or Surata said this, or something like that. If I say, then you will know. So the other part is from Markandeya Purana as part of Saptashati. In Markandeya Purana, Rishi Markandeya was explaining about the Manus, the Manvantaras to a Brahmana, a Rishi named Kraustiki. He was explaining that's the Markandeya Purana itself in its. And after listening to the 7 Manus, starting from Swayambhu Manu, Swarochisha, Uttama, Tamasa, Raivata, Chakshusha, Vaivasvata, and so on. So those 7 Manus, Markandeya explains their start and what happened in those Manvantaras and who are the rishis in those Manvantaras and things like that. He explains all those things. Then Kraustiki asks him to narrate about the other 7 Manus. So again, if you hope you know, Brahma's day is divided into 14 parts, one day. Okay, and that each part is known as Manvantara and ruled by a Manu. So here we looked at the 7, and the 8th one is about to be asked. So 7 was narrated by Markandeya to Kraustiki, and Kraustiki asks, "Tell me all the remaining 7 Manus about them." So that's when Markandeya starts the narration of the 8th Manu. He says that Savarni, who was the son of Chaya Sanya, he is the equal to eldest brother Vaivasvata Manu. He shall be the 8th Manu. So he will be the 8th Manu, because currently we are in the 7th Manu, Vaivasvata Manu, right? So Markandeya says that he will be the 8th Manu. Savarni will be the 8th Manu, and he is the son of Chaya. So Chaya Sanya. So Sanya is Surya's wife. Twashta is Vishwakarma's daughter. So slightly going off these 2 Puranas now. So Sanya is the Vishwakarma's daughter. She was with Surya, and through Surya, Vaivasvata Manu and others were born. But Yama, for example, was born. But Sanya found it Surya very hot. And hot in the sense, not these days we see, oh, he's very hot. Okay, it is not like that. It is burning hot. Okay, so Sanya found it. So what she did was she created her own form as a Chaya, shadow. Chaya is shadow. Her own shadow as her own form, and left that Chaya with Surya, and she left in the form of a horse. She left Surya. She went away. Surya did not recognize, and with Chaya, he had more sons. So Savarni, Shanishchara, and others. Shani, for example, Shani Bhagwan is Chaya's son. So like this, they were born. So one day, Yama recognizes, because Chaya was looking after her sons more favorably, and Yama kicks her. Okay, and that's why Yama's leg was gone, because he kicks. But he recognizes, and he goes and tells Surya, "This is not my mother, because she is very favorite to the other children, not me." Okay, so then Surya recognizes. Surya asks Chaya, and he asks, and she says that I am her shadow. And then Surya goes in search of her, and things like that. The story continues, and then that's where Surya goes in the form of a horse, and then Ashwini Devatas were born, like that. Okay, so that's the story here. But Savarni is this Chaya's son. Okay, Sanya is the original wife, and her shadow Chaya, Chaya's son is Savarni. So Markandeya says that Savarni will be the 8th Manu, and Surya's son Savarni, he is called the 8th Manu. He is, now I will tell you about his birth at full length, and how by the great authority of Maha Maya, the great illusion, that illustrious son of Surya, Savarni, became the 8th Manu. How did how he became, that Surya's son became the 8th Manu? I will tell you that. So, and then he starts narrating the story. So he says that in time ago, in the Swarochisha Manvantara, so again, that is the second Manvantara. The first one is Swayambhu Manvantara of Brahma's day. Second Manvantara is Swarochisha. So in the Swarochisha Manvantara, there was a king named Surata, and he was born in the Chaitra Vamsha, Chaitra race, a race named Chaitra, and he was ruling a vast kingdom all over the earth. He was ruling, and he looked after his children his subjects like his children, and he was ruling very well. But hostile kings, enemies named Kolas, they came and they attacked his kingdom. And his own ministers and the military and everybody, they went against They went aligned with their powerful enemies, Kolas, and those corrupt ministers who are evil and weak persons, they went with those robbers, Kolas, and then those Kolas took over that city. The king, leaving everything, his family, his people, and everything, he, on a single horseback, he goes uh, into the forest. And there, going in that forest, King Surata, he goes there and he sees a hermitage of a rishi named Medas. So, characters: Surata is the king. He goes on a horseback. He goes to the forest after losing a kingdom to the forest, and there he sees a rishi named Medas. And that ashrama was inhabited by wild animals, which were very peaceful wild animals, even though they were wild animals. And uh, rishis, many shishyas were there, and there in that rishis, many ashrama, this king was living in there for some time. And while roaming here and there in that rishi's ashrama, he started thinking himself, I lost this kingdom. I don't know what my people are doing, my subjects are doing. He was always this Surata, even though he was in Rishi's ashrama, he was thinking about his ministers, how good they were to him, what all the things, and whether they are now, whether the enemies who took over that kingdom, whether they are looking after those subjects, those people who he always cared about, whether they are looking after them, whether they were fed like that, whether they're fed regularly, whether the treasury and things like that, whether that has been accumulated, that has gone to waste, or whether that's being spent virtuously. He was thinking like all the people that actually betrayed him. He was thinking about all those people, even though they were evil to him, and they were the one who sent him on a single horseback from his kingdom to that forest, even though he was thinking them. And in that ashrama, Rishi's ashrama, this Surata comes across a Vaishya, a merchant, and he asks that Vaishya, who are you? Why are you here in this forest? You look like very sad, in a full of sorrow. What is the reason for that? Hearing that, Vaishya says that my name is Samadhi, and I've been kicked out of home. I was very rich, but I've been kicked out by my sons and my wife. They kicked me out of that, taking all my wealth and everything. They kicked me out of that. That's why I'm in this forest, living in this forest. But even while I'm here, I'm still thinking about my children and my wife, and I'm thinking about them. I don't know what they are doing, whether my child, whether they went to school or not, whether they ate the food or not, whether everything is okay, my wife, whether she is taking care, and all those kind of things. Okay, we all think, right? So if we go one week, we are away, and we start thinking whether they went to supermarket and did all their shopping or not, and how did they brought the rice bag or wheat flour, how they brought that heavy bag to home, right? Whether they are driving safely and all those kind of things. When we are away, we start thinking. Just like that, this Samadhi is, even though they've been kicked out, he says that I'm still thinking about them, but I've been kicked out like this. And king asks, why are you thinking about them who are greedy? Those sons and wives of yours, they kicked you out. Why are you thinking about them? Vaishya says, I don't know why like this. My mind doesn't entertain anything else. It can't forget those things. My mind always bears affection for them. As the master of that family, I always think it is affectionate towards them. I don't know why it is happening, although I know it is probably wrong. They are worthless relatives of mine. I should not be thinking about them. Still, I do think about them. We all go through this phase in life, right? So this is again Purana narrating here, even though it is a story. It is many of us could relate. We have all those people we think about, we care about, even though they don't give a thing about us, right? So why this is happening? So thinking like that, when that Surata king hears about from Samadhi, the Vaishya, about this, he also says, I'm also in that situation, and So they think about, he also says that I also have a selfish feeling for my kingdom. I know they all betrayed me, yet I am the one who is ignorant and I'm still thinking about them and how this is possible. And he goes to that Muni in that Medas, in that ashrama. He goes to that Muni and he asks him, why I always keep thinking about them. Even though they all betrayed me, I still keep thinking about that administration I had, the people, the subjects, my children, my family, everything. And look at this Vaishya. He is also in the same situation, even though his family has kicked him out of his home and took away all his wealth and everything. They sent him to this forest. He is still thinking about them, and he's still every day is remembering them and thinking about them. Why is like this? So this is where the Rishi starts explaining now. And in our other story, Brahma starts explaining the same story. Okay. So why we are thinking like this? So Rishi says that every animal has this knowledge in objects cognizable by the senses, and the objects of senses reaches its, so that in diverse ways. So we all sense through our sense objects in many ways. Some living beings are blind by the day, and some other blind by the night, and some living beings can see equally well in day and night. Again, this literally we can take the meaning, okay, as there are three different types of animals, but also if you look at from a Vedanta point of view, this relates to a shloka in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. So when everybody is awake, this Stita Prajna, this Muni, he is sleeping. Okay. And when everybody is sleeping, he is awake. So that means what we all recognize through our sense organs, okay, what we are blind is to that Paramatma. We see this samsara as real. But some see this samsara as false. Okay. They are blind to this samsara. They see that only Paramatma. They see only that. And some are in between. Sometimes they can concentrate and see. So that's what the Rishi here also saying. Some living beings are blind, some are blind by the day, some are night, some are equally day and night. So again, mankind can, like birds and animals and other creatures as well, have some knowledge. So, but this knowledge again is deluded. So there are illusion because of the great illusion Maha Maya. The worldly existence, the samsara, is what's seen as the permanent one. We are all get attached to the samsara because of Maha Maya, the great illusion of Devi. Because of that, we do that. This is the contemplation, said Yoga Nidra of the Lord, the Ishvara of the world. So this is the Yoga Nidra, the great Mahamaya that comes from Hari himself. That's what it is. And by that Yoga Nidra, that delusion, that this word is completely deluded. And that Yoga Nidra, she is certainly the one, the adorable goddess. She is the Mahamaya, forcibly drawing the minds of even those who know, presents them to delusion. And by her is the created this whole universe, movable and immovable things. And she is the one who, when one worships her, one devotes her, she is the one who bestows boons on the men with view of final moksha. And she is the knowledge, supreme knowledge, and she is the eternal cause of final, the moksha. She is the one. She is the cause of that moksha, and she is the also the cause of bondage for this samsara, and she is the queen of all the devatas. And when that rishi says like that, Meda says that, Surata asks him, who is that goddess? Who is that Mahamaya you just mentioned? How she was born? What is her sphere of action? What is her disposition? What is her nature? Where did she originate? The goddess all I want to hear. And the Rishi says that she is the one that exists eternally. She is embodied as the word. Looks like this word. She is the one that exists eternally. By her, this universe is stretched uh, everywhere. And but her origin is in many ways. We can look at her origin in many ways because that's again is her illusion. And when she reveals herself in order to accomplish the purpose of the devatas, it is then that we say that in the world that she is born. And she is also named as the eternal one. She is the eternal one. So this is again, she appears like she is born. And in Gita as well, Krishna says the same thing, right? Ajo api san navya atma bhutanam ishvaro api san prakritim swamadhishtaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. So my own atma maya, my own maya controlling that maya, I will sambhavami. I will uh, appear as to be born. And Acharya Shankara beautifully in his Gita Bhasha, he says that sambhavami dehan iva bhavami jata. So as though born Atma Maya by my own Maya, but not in reality, like an ordinary man. So that Bhagavan, when we say Krishna is born, Rama is born, he is Atma Maya. He is by his own Maya, that Prakriti is controlling that through his own. We are born because of our own karmas, dharma, what we have done in the previous births, we are born because of it. But Bhagavan is not born. He is Avatara. So he is Sambhavami, Dehan Iva. Acharya in that it says Iva. Iva means he's as if he's born. Okay, he's born in that body, as if he's born. He's not actually born. Okay, so he's as if, that's again controlling his own Maya. So similar thing here as well. Rishi says that she is said to be born in this world. So if you are asking how she was born, there are many ways she is born. Okay, she's probably, you can say she is born as a Parvati and Himalayas, Himachala's daughter, Himavat's daughter is born, or she is born as a Sati, she is born as Gauri, she is born as Lakshmi, she is born as many other forms. But this is again, that is said in the world as she is born. But that's all her Atma Maya. She is her own Maya. Through that she is appears in this world. Now, what is the time? Okay, we got a little bit time. Let's look at Madhukaitapavada. Okay, so when Rishi says that she is born like that, he starts to explain that great Devi's Maya and that Mahatma. And similarly, we see in the Devi Bhagavata Purana as well, when Narada asked Brahma all the questions similar to what Vyasa has asked or what Janamejaya asked Vyasa, those questions were asked. Brahma also starts narrating. Brahma says that what more I can say, that even Vishnu is unable to answer your questions. They are so difficult to answer. Nobody that is attached to the world knows about this. Only those who are unattached to this world, this samsara, only those who are unattached, who are free from envy, those who are without any desires, and calm, those high-souled ones know the secret of this. So Brahma says to Narada that not ordinary persons cannot know. It is only those who are unattached, those munis, can know about that Devi. Even Vishnu is unable to answer all your questions. It is like that. In the former days, when everywhere it was water everywhere, all the things moving and immovable and immovable, all the things were destroyed, water everywhere. When all the five elements, Prithvi, Akasha, all this, Agni, everything was, when all those were sprung, then Brahma says that I was born from the lotus navel of Vishnu. Then I did not see Surya, Chandra, trees, mountains, or anything. and sitting at the center of a lotus stack, I thought, when I am born in this great ocean of water, when did I took birth in this great ocean of water? Who created me? Who is my protector? And who will be my destroyer when this cycle comes to end? There is no earth here, and there is no place, there is no masses of everywhere. This is water, all sin. And Brahma also thinks that lotus is called as Pankaja because it is born in the mud, in the dirt, right? In the mud it is born. But here I don't see any earth. If there is no earth, there is no mud, only water. How can a lotus come and I'm born in this? So while I was thinking like this, Brahma says that while I was thinking like this, I dived deep in that lotus and into that water, and I heard in my ear, practice tapasya, do austerities. And hearing that voice, I started practicing tapasya. For 1,000 years, I did a tapasya. And then I heard a voice saying that create. I heard a voice saying create. Hearing this, I became very confused. What I'm going to create? How I'm going to create? So Brahma thinks like that. Then, while he was thinking like that, Vishnu, who was sleeping in his Shesha serpents, the Shesha, who is stretched out, he was in deep sleep in the contemplation. He was in that Yoga Nidra at the end of that Kalpa. When the entire universe was converted into that absolute ocean, from Vishnu's ear, the springing from the root of Vishnu's ear, two asuras named Madhu and Kaitava, they were sprung and they tried to kill Brahma. And they came to Brahma and they frightened him, saying that fight with us. So Brahma became very much terrified and holding the stem of that lotus, he got down within the water and there he saw a wonderful person sleeping on Ananta Shesha in that on that serpent. He was deep blue in color, like a rain cloud, wearing yellow cloths, four-armed, garlanded with forest flower Vanamala Vibhushitam. And that Lord Bhagavan of the whole universe was sleeping there. On his forearms, Mahavishnu, there were Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. He was holding conch shell, disc, club, a lotus, and many other weapons he was holding in his arms. And that Achyuta, that Adipurusha, was sleeping on the Ananta in the bed. And under the influence, he was sleeping under the influence of Yoga Nidra, Maha Maya. He was sleeping. And then Brahma thought within himself, what I'm going to do? And not able to find out any other way, he recollected Devi, that Yoga Nidra, and that nature of sleep, and he started praising her. That Devi Bhagavati, he started praising. And Brahma says, Tvam swaha tvam sada tvam hi vashatkara swaratmika sudatamakshare nitye trida matratmika stida ardhamatrasta nitya yanucharya visheshatah त्वमेव संध्या सावित्री त्वं देवी जननी परा त्वयेतद्धार्यते विश्वं त्वयेतत्सृज्यते जगत् त्वयेतत्पाल्यते देवी तमत्सञ्चेद अन्ते च सर्वदा विसृष्टो सृष्टिरूपा त्वं स्थितिरूपा च पालने तथा स्मृतिरूपान्ते जगतोऽस्ति जगन्महे महाविद्या महामाया महामेधा महास्मृतिः महामोदा महामोहा च भवति महादेवी महेश्वरी प्रकृतिस्त्वं च सर्वस्य गुणत्रयविभाविनी कालरात्रिर्महारात्रिर्मोहरात्रिश्च दारुणा त्वं श्रीस्त्वमीश्वरी त्वं बुद्धिर्बोधलक्षणा लज्जा पुष्टिस्तदा तुष्टित्वं शान्तिक्षान्तिरेव च खड्गिनी शूलिनी घोरा गदिनी चक्रिणी तदा शङ्किनी चापिनी बाणा भुजण्डी परिगायुधा सौम्या सौम्यधरा शेष सौम्यभ्यस्तुति सुन्दरी परापराणां परमा त्वमेव परमेश्वरी यच्च किञ्चित् क्वचिद्वस्तु सद्वाकिलात्मिके तस्य सर्वस्य या शक्तिः सा त्वं किं स्तूयते मया यया त्वया जगत्सृष्ट्या जगत्पात्यतियो जगत् सोऽपि निद्रावशं निदकस्त्वां स्तोतुमहेश्वर विष्णुश्चरीरग्रहण महामीशान एव च कारिता तेतोस्तस्तां का स्तोतुं शक्तिमान् भवेत् सा त्वमित्थं प्रभावैस्तैरुदारैर्देवी संस्तुता मोहयितो दुरादर्शो वसुरो asuro madhukaitabho prabodam ta jagat swami niyatamuchyate lagho bodhascha kriyatamasya antumeto mahasuro. So like this Brahma prays, he says that you are Swaha, you are Svada, you are indeed Vashatkara, you are sound of your Atma, you are the nectar, Amrita of the Devatas, you are to eternal letter, you are existing in having threefold matras as your Atma. You exist in Ardha Matra, you are a matra of duration of eternal, you are still eternal, you are indeed cannot be uttered specifically. You are Savitri. You are Mother Janani of uh, uh, of everything. By you, everything is maintained. By you, the world is created. By you, it is protected. By you, you always consume everything. तद्धारयते विश्वं तयेतत् सज्जते जगत् तयेतत् पालयते देवी तमत्सञ्चेत सर्वदा. So you consume everything at the end, and you are as at its srishti creation, you did take form of creation, and by protecting you, you are form of permanence, and at the end of the world, you are the form of contraction. So you contain everything. You are the great knowledge, Mahavidya. You are great illusion, Maha Maya. You are Maha Meda, great vigor. You are Maha Smriti. You are great memory. You are Mahamoha, you are delusion, you are the Bhavati Mahadevi Maheshwari, you are great goddess, you are great Maheshwari, you are the Ishwari of everything. And you are the original, you are the Prakriti of this universe, you are the existing cause of all the three qualities, you are the Kalaratri, Maharatri, you are the night of the world's destruction, you are the great night, you are the night of delusion, and you are the great fortune, Shrihi, Ishwari. You are the fortune, you are the queen, you are the modesty, you are intelligence, Buddhir, Bodha, Lakshana. You are characterized by perception, you are shame, nourishment, you are contentment, tranquility, patience, Lajja, Pushtistada, Tushtistam, Shanti Revacha. And Khadgini, Shulni, Gora, Gadini, Chakritada. You are terrible armed like with sword, spear, club, discus, conch shell, bow, weapon, arrow, sling, iron mace, and but you are also Soumya, Soumya Tarashi, Soumya Bhastati Sundari. You are gentle, you are more than gentle, you are exceedingly beautiful. And of those whole who are very gentle, you are also beyond highest and lowest. Tome para paranam, tome parama, tome parameshwari. So you are the highest, beyond highest, and beyond the lowest. So there is no start and beginning for you. And whatever that thing is, whatever that good or bad, you are the energy of that possesses. So like this, what can more I say? Like this Brahma prays, and he says that since Vishnu, I, and Shiva have been made by you, made by you to assume these bodies, what more powerful can there be than you? Being such, O Devi, these asuras, Madhu and Kaitaba, they, with your Shaktis, they are become imperishable and they are giving me trouble. So kill these asuras, like this Brahma prays. And then when he prays like that, Devi Tamasi, the dark Devi, she praised or worshipped by Brahma like that, she awakens Vishnu from Yoga Nidra. Vishnu was released, and Vishnu waking up, he sees Madhu and Kaitaba. And so Madhu and Kaitaba. So from his eyes, mouth, nose, arms, heart, breast, and stood in sight of Brahma, who was they stood there, and Uttasto Jagannatastaya Mukto Janardana. So then Jagannatha, Janardana, Vishnu, the master of the world, being quitted by her, rose up from his couch on that universal ocean. And he saw those Madhu and Kaitaba, those two evil Daityas. He sees there, and who are angry with Brahma, fully prepared to eat up Brahma. And seeing them, Vishnu has battle starts fights with those two, striking them with his arms. Panchavarsha Sahasrani Bahu Pravarno Vibhu. So 5,000 years he battles with them, and with Devi's Maha Maya's illusion, those two Madhukaitabhas says that choose a boon from us. Okay, so Vishnu first says that choose a boon from us, but those two asuras says that who are you to give boon to us? You ask a boon from us. Okay, so Bhagavan Vishnu then says Bhaveta Madhyame Tushto Mamadhyapu Bhavapi. So both of you now content with me, you must be killed by me. So that's what the boon Vishnu asks from them. So when he asks like that, the rishis, the Madhukaitabhas, they look in the vast ocean and they say that they ask Vishnu that kill us where there is no earth. Where there is no water. So they see everywhere water. They think that if Vishnu we ask like that, so then Vishnu keeps Madhukaitabha on his thighs, and then through his chakra he kills them and their heads and body he cuts off. Like this, so previously Brahma worshipped that Devi. So this is the worship of Brahma and killing of Madhu and Kaitaba. With that, in Devi Mahatmya, the first charitra, first history, Pradama Charitra, which is Mahakali's Devata for that charitra completes. And with that, we conclude today. And before we conclude, we just for Devi prayers and then we conclude. So by remembering that Maha Maya, let's conclude today's session. ज्ञानिनामपि चेतांसि देवी भगवती हि सा फलादकृष्यमोहाय महामाया प्रेच्छति दुर्गे स्मृता हरति भीतिमशेषजन्तोः स्वस्ते स्मृता मतिमति विशुभां ददासि दारिद्र्यदुःखभयहारिणी गातु धन्या सर्वोपकारकरणाय सदार्धचित्ता सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तुते शरणागत दीनार्तपरित्राणपरायणे सर्वस्यार्तिहरे देवी नारायणी नमोऽस्तुते सर्वस्वरूपे सर्वेशि सर्वशक्तिसमन्विते भयेभ्यस्त्रायिनो देवी दुर्गे देवी नमोऽस्तुते रोगानशेषान् भान्ति दुष्टारुष्टात् कामान् सकलान् भीष्टान् तामाश्रितान् उपन्नराणां तामाश्रिताश्रयतां प्रयान्ते सर्वाबाधाप्रशमनं त्रैलोक्यस्याखिलेश्वरी इमेव त्वया कार्यम् अस्मद्भैर्विनाशनम् अपराधसहस्राणि क्रियन्ते अर्निशमया दासोऽमिति मां मन्त्रक्षमस्व परमेश्वरी यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं यद्भवेत् तत्सर्वं पूर्णदं भवतु तत्सर्वं तत्प्रसादान् महेश्वरी श्रीजगदाम्बार्पणमस्तु. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.